Her face was destroyed. Azoth had once seen a man kicked square in the face by a horse. He died wheezing on broken teeth and blood. Dollgirl's face was worse. Azoth looked away, but Durzo grabbed a handful of his hair and turned him back.
Look, damn you, look! This is what you've done, boy. This is what hesitation costs. When I say kill, you kill. Not tomorrow, not 5 days later. You kill that second. No hesitations, no doubts, no second thoughts. Obedience. Do you understand the word? I know better than you do. You know nothing. You are nothing. This is what you are. You are weakness. You are filth. You are the blood bubbling out of that little girl's nose.
Azoth thrashed and tried to turn away, but Durzo's grip was steel.
No! Look! This is what you've done! This is your fault! Your failure! Your Denna did this! A Denna shouldn't do anything! A Denna is dead! Not 5 days from now! A Denna is dead as soon as you take the contract! Do you understand?
Durzo held Azoth's hair, turning him so his vomit didn't splatter on Dollgirl. When he was done, Durzo turned him around and let go. But Azoth turned away, not even wiping the puke from his lips. He looked at Dollgirl. She couldn't last long. Every breath was labored. Blood welled, dribbled, dripped, slid onto the sheets, onto the floor. He stared until her face disappeared, until he was only seeing red angles and curves where once that dull, pretty face had been. The red angles went white-hot and branded his memory, searing him. He held perfectly still so the scars in his mind would give a perfect image of what he'd done, would perfectly match the lacerations on her face. Durzo didn't say a word. It didn't matter. He didn't matter. Azoth didn't matter. All that mattered was the bloody little girl lying on bloody sheets. He felt something inside collapsing, something squeezing the breath out of his body. Part of him was glad. Part of him cheered as he felt himself being crushed, compacted into insignificance, into oblivion. This was what he deserved. But then it stopped. He blinked and noticed there were no tears in his eyes. He wouldn't be crushed. Something in him refused to be crushed. He turned to Durzo.
If you save her, I'm yours. Forever.
You don't understand, boy. You've already failed. Besides, she's dying. There's nothing you can do. She's worthless now. A girl on the street is worth exactly what she can get for whoring. Saving her life is no kindness. She won't thank you for it.
I'll find you when he's dead.
You've already failed.
You gave me a week. It's only been 5 days.
By the Night Angels. So be it. But if you come without proof, I'll end you.
Azoth didn't answer. He was already walking away. She wasn't dying fast, but she was certainly dying. Durzo couldn't help but have a certain detached professional rage. It had been sloppy, cruel work. With the horrible wounds on her face, it was obvious that she had been intended to live and live with hideous scars that would forever shame her. But instead, she was dying, wheezing out her life through a broken, bloody nose. There was nothing he could do for her either. That was quickly evident. He'd killed both of the Biggs who had been guarding her after the butchery, but he suspected that neither of them had been the cutter. They had both seemed a little too horrified at the evil they were part of. Some part of Durzo that still had a shred of decency demanded he go kill the twist who had done this immediately, but he tended to the little girl first. She was lying on a low cot in one of the smaller safe houses he owned in the Warrens. He cleaned her up as well as he could. He knew a lot about preserving life. He'd learned that as he learned about killing. It was just a matter of approaching the line between life and death from the opposite side. So it was quickly apparent that her wounds were beyond his skills. She'd been kicked, and she was bleeding inside. That would kill her even if the blood she was losing from her face didn't.
Life is empty. Life is worthless, meaningless. Life is pain and suffering. I'm sparing you if I let you die. You'll be ugly now. They'll laugh at you, stare at you, point at you, shudder. You'll overhear their questions. You'll know their self-serving pity. You'll be curiosity, a horror. Your life is worth nothing now.
He had no choice. He had to let her die. It was only kind. Not just, perhaps, but kind. Not just. The thought ate at him, and her ugliness and blood, her wheezing, ate at him. Maybe he needed to save her, for the boy. Maybe she would be just the goad to move him. Mama Kay said Azoth might be too kind. Maybe from this, Azoth would learn to act first, act fast, kill anyone who threatened him. The boy had already waited too long. It was a risk either way. The boy had sworn himself to Durzo if he saved her, but what would having this cripple around do to a boy? She'd be a living reminder of failure. Durzo couldn't allow Azoth to destroy himself over a girl. He wouldn't allow it. The wheezing decided him. He wouldn't kill her himself, and he wasn't such a coward that he'd run away and let her die alone. Fine. He'd do what he could to save her. If she died, it wasn't his fault. If she lived, he'd deal with Azoth. But who the hell could save her?